Welcome to Way of the Wise Owl. Today we're talking about boundaries. Not the kind you announce, not the kind you explain, not the kind you repeat 5 times, the kind you enforce. Let's be clear. A boundary is not a speech. It's not a paragraph. It's not a warning. A boundary is a decision. And if there is no consequence attached to it, it is not a boundary. It is a preference. Most people do not struggle with speaking up. They struggle with enforcement. They say, I don't like that. They say, please don't do that again. They say, I need you to respect this. And when it happens again, they explain more. They negotiate. They soften. They hope. That is not enforcement. That is negotiation. And negotiation lowers your standard. Here's the uncomfortable truth. If you repeat yourself more than once, you are teaching people that your words are optional. Boundaries require discomfort, not loudness, not aggression, discomfort. Because enforcement often means walking away, withdrawing access, ending a conversation, changing your availability. And many people would rather explain than enforce. Why? Because enforcement risks loss. But here's what most people don't calculate. What you tolerate repeatedly becomes your standard. Let me say that again. What you tolerate repeatedly becomes your standard. If you tolerate disrespect, your standard becomes disrespect. If you tolerate inconsistency, your standard becomes inconsistency. If you tolerate crossed lines without consequence, your standard becomes flexible. And flexible standards create unstable outcomes. Boundaries are not emotional reactions. They are structural decisions. Within the B.A.D.D.I.E framework, boundaries are the first pillar for a reason. Without boundaries, accountability weakens. Without accountability, discipline collapses. Without discipline, discernment blurs. Without discernment, integrity fractures. And without integrity, elevation becomes impossible. Everything builds on enforcement. So here's the question. Where are you repeating yourself instead of enforcing? Where are you explaining instead of withdrawing access? Where are you hoping instead of deciding? You do not need stronger language. You need stronger follow-through. And follow-through is not dramatic. It is calm. It is quiet. It is consistent. A boundary enforced once is more powerful than a boundary explained 10 times. If this resonates, start small. Choose one area this week. One, where you will not repeat yourself, where you will decide instead of discuss. That is how standards rise. If you're ready to go deeper into structured behavioral correction, applications for the B.A.D.D.I.E intensive are open. If you're still building awareness, the B.A.D.I.E Rehab Workshop introduces the framework clearly. But whether you join or not, remember this. Boundaries are not discussions. They are decisions. I'll see you in the next episode.